Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us. Hello, everyone. Episode 57 of Soul Rising Podcast. Welcome back.
Episode 57, where Erin feels like she almost burped live on air.
That's a nice way to start the week.
You're all welcome. That's what you come here for.
That's what you come here. Real life. Just off topic, always off topic. It reminds me of the other night I hosted a spirit circle in my Facebook community.
Yes.
The Intuitive Rising community, in case you're wondering.
You guys should join. Check it out.
Anyways, we were talking a little bit. It was like a Q&A as well as we were practicing tapping into each other's intuition. And we were talking about Reiki. It was interesting because it seemed like almost every attendee that was in the room has been Reiki trained. And if not, was very interested in it. So it just goes back to remind me of when I took my Reiki level 1 and 2 with my Reiki master. She said, if you're doing a lot of burping or your stomach's making a lot of noises or things that's literally how the energy is moving through you, and it's very common. So I don't know, just a new perspective on burping. We're just releasing something.
Listen, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. I also I think it's a good thing if someone burps at dinner
Yeah.
because it's isn't it in Germany it's isn't it a compliment if
Is
you
it
burp?
a compliment to the chef?
It shows that you liked the meal.
It's good. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what I don't know. That's what I've always been told by my mom. So if that's incorrect, I will blame her. My mom's like, "Oh, thanks, Erin. Yeah, just blame your mother." I can hear her right now.
I was going to say something, and then I was like, I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. I was going to say compliment. If you ever wanted to compliment my cooking, compliments to the chef, I was like, unbutton your pants, and then I was like, oh wait, that sounds really bad. That's how you know you had a really good meal. My
pants are yes, it is because you're so full, but you want to keep eating.
Yes, making room.
You're just making extra room.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it.
So today, speaking of, not really, but maybe, it's a personal thing. Today we're going to talk about spiritual Hygge. So Hygge, or Hygge from a spiritual lens, I guess.
Okay.
Hygge is spelled Hygge. So you might have seen this word around. I was reading something that in 2016, Hygge was the word of the year in Britain. And I was thinking back to 2016, and I think that's around the time that it became something I was aware of. I have a book all about Hygge as well, just a little one that has different beautiful pictures in it and things like that. So Hygge is it was originated in Norway. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is a very that part of the world that experiences, the winter months and the cold and the snow and a lot of darkness. Mm-hmm. So it was adopted by the British and basically, or sorry, not the British. Sorry, I'm sorry, that's not right. It was adopted by the Danish. I was talking about Britain a minute ago, so I'm sorry. And it basically means coziness. So Hygge is the art of cozy living.
I like that.
Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds amazing. So I'm just all about the cozy. So if I can create an intentional art of cozy living, I'm all for it. I actually have been my whole life without realizing that I'm
creating a cozy space.
Person. I'm Hygging it up. In the Nordic region, Hygge is a philosophy of life that focuses on being positive and enjoying everyday life. So we chose to talk about this today because we are in the dark days of January. I know that, the light is returning a little bit each day. So things are looking up.
Sorry. So dark. We're all... We've just been recording.
We've been recording all morning. Yeah.
Sorry, Amy, go ahead.
That's okay.
We're coming out. There's the light.
We're getting it out. We're getting the sillies out. So we, the sun's returning and things are getting better, but winter is hard for a lot of people.
Yes. Yeah.
So Erin and I are kind of self-proclaimed winter lovers. I think sort of. We've talked about this before. I am. I don't know why. I just am. And I think it comes from the fact that I've been kind of living the Hygge life my whole life.
Yeah.
So I just, when it gets dark and cold. And when we kind of go in, some of us struggle with that because we're used to go, 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 do, do,
Mhm,
do,
mhm.
right? We
Yeah,
talked about this a little bit
exactly.
in the last episode, all about
Yeah,
January.
yeah,
Um, but if you just kind of listen to your inner knowing, listen to your body about kind of slowing down, being more intentional, being more mindful about things, being more present, trying to make the best of it, right? Like
yeah.
winter is going to come. It doesn't care that you don't like it. It's going to come anyways.
Mhm.
And it's a vital and important part
It's true.
of the year and nature
Yeah.
and its cycles. And I feel like if we begin to see ourselves as nature as
Mm.
well,
Yeah,
and we give ourselves permission to be like everything else in the world in the winter,
yeah,
we
to be
would
still.
be a little bit less stressed and unhappy about things. I
Yeah.
think like the discomfort that comes in the winter, I think is like the discord. It's a symptom of the discord of like your body and your mind and your soul going, slow the freak down,
Mhm.
right? Go, like take a rest, spend some time with your family, spend some time with yourself, spend some time on like whatever it is that you want to do. But the society is like, it's no different than the summer or
Yeah.
the spring where it's like go, go,
Yes.
go, 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 where the
Yes.
energy supports that. um but we don't feel that way in the winter. So it's like the discord of what like we have to do versus what we feel like doing, and I think that's why winter gets a bad rep.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, and I think the people that enjoy winter have found a way to enjoy it. Like I think it's been an
Well,
intentional
yeah,
act.
yeah, right? Like I'm sure you're finding things that you do maybe as a family or things that you
Right.
traditions or it's around the holidays, so maybe it's nice to connect with loved ones that we haven't seen in a while or in
Yeah.
quite some time. Yeah, I always get that cozy. That's why I like the winters because speaking of
Because of the cozy.
Goog, I love the cozy. Yeah.
But we've allowed ourselves to have it without
Yes.
putting the pressure on ourselves that we shouldn't do
Yes.
that. I think
Yeah.
that's why we've allowed
Yeah.
ourselves to do that.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
agree.
Um, so like I said, in 2016, Hygge was one of the top 10 words of the year in Great Britain. I am referring to a website called healthyspirituality.org. Um, Hygge is kind of hard to describe because it's a mindset, it's an energy, it's a way
Mm,
of being, it's
yeah.
kind of like a heart-centered kind of, it's something that, there's ways in which you can bring more Hygge in your life, and we'll talk about them today. But really it's personal. It might be
Hmm.
different for you than it is for me. So it can suggest an image of like, okay, it's dark, it's cold, we're gonna hunker down. So like cozying up your space, right? With like maybe a beautiful blanket that makes you feel cozy or just really
Yeah.
like to look at. Candles, right?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
like low lighting, fairy lights,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm somebody that used to keep
I
the,
love
the
fairy lights.
fairy lights up all winter,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Even sometimes
absolutely.
in the summer.
Oh, yeah, me too. I love that
It's
energy.
cozy. It like makes it cozy.
Yeah.
It's just like warm beverages,
Hmm.
and
Hot chocolate.
I think a lot of it is about intentionally being mindful about how do I bring more comfort and
Comfort.
warmth to my life in a time where outside of me is not warm,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and you want to have that like space for yourself, right, too, so that you can disconnect from
Yeah.
that chaos or whatever is going on. You need that separation. I think
Mhm.
it's really important.
Yeah, so I really like it. I think might be I don't know if everybody's heard of Hygge. It might be unknown to some people, but I think in general it's just a way of being. It's just a mindset of like, okay, this is going to happen whether we like it or not. How do we make the best of it? And
Yeah.
so that's a personal thing, right? Um so the way like why I'm choosing to talk about this through like almost like a spiritual lens is because it's a way of being.
Yeah.
It can be. So it's kind of like reminds me of like gratitude, mindfulness, finding the magic in the mundane, all these
Mhm.
things that we talk about is what Hygge represents to me. So it
Love
can be a
that.
spiritual practice.
Yeah. That's like in spirituality to me is a lot of it doesn't I feel like for me it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to really like believe in an afterlife. You don't have to necessarily to prescribe to that,
Yeah.
but I feel like spirituality is so different for everybody, and I think that that's what it's ultimately about, is that going within, right? It's that understanding of that part of it, for me at least.
It's kind of like when we talked in the last episode about January and we got in the topic of resolutions, and it's like what came up was kind of like, how can we be more me? How can you
Yes.
be more you? Like, I think that's what spirituality as a practice can bring you.
Yeah, exactly.
How can you be more you? Right. So
Yeah.
Hygge is like, how can I bring more comfort to my life
Hmm.
in a time where, maybe I don't know, like it's like that reset when we talked about COVID a little bit, and how it was that reset where we had to stop, we had to be with ourselves.
Yeah.
Winter can be like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Um, so so it's just kind of in the article, it's just kind of talking about like why this person that wrote this article feels like Hygge is becoming more of a mainstream word and people know
Hmm.
about it. Why was it the top one of the top 10 words of 2016? And spiritually, she just connected it to, kind of what's going on in the world, the upheaval, the turmoil, all the discord that we see all the time, and kind of taking a break from it or disconnecting from it, still seeing that there's still good in the world and that we
Hmm.
can intentionally create it.
Yeah.
It's like that respite of like
Yes.
finding peace within. By the way, if you haven't listened to the 2023 forecast, go back and listen to it, because we give kind of like overall lesson of the year, and
Yeah.
this fits in
Yes.
beautifully.
Yeah.
So, reading straight from the website, how can this word nourish our spirituality? Hygge reminds us about God, source, spirit's presence in the ordinary gifts of life. Too often we take
Mm.
moments for granted or glide right past them without beholding their blessings. Hygge
Yeah.
teaches us about contentment. Discontent arises from, like it says, jealousy, but I can think of many other things.
Mm. Yep.
What others have and what we don't.
Yeah.
Contentment
Yeah.
emerges from enjoying the blessings that we embrace.
Yes.
um, Hygge helps us slow down and savor life, putting flowers on the table, lighting candles, delighting in a warm shower. This is reminding me of a past episode we just did where I talked about being intentional, right?
Hmm.
If you if
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
if you are intentionable, that's not a word, but it should be. If you are
It is now.
intentional, it is now. If you are intentional about even the most mundane things, all of a sudden something shifts, and
Yeah.
this is taking me to a moment. I know I'm off topic. Sidebar. Um, a couple years ago, I read this book. I cannot remember what it was called, but there was this kind of exercise suggested in it to spend some time and like write down what your ideal day would be like. Like, we're all like
Ooh.
one day,
One
like in an
day.
ideal life. So
Yeah.
like, what does that really
What
look
does
like?
that
So
look like for you?
I got really
Yeah.
intentional and I wrote down, and then I looked at it and I reflected, well, what's the difference between this life and the one I live? And it wasn't hugely different, I'll be honest, which I know I'm blessed to be able to
Hmm.
know that they're kind of more similar than not. um but the main difference was, in the ideal day, I was very intentional about everything. So there was wording I used without even thinking about it, about like having the moment. Like, so my ideal day was, I live somewhere near the ocean, or where I can hear water at least. And I wake up slowly, without like rushing out of bed like a bat out of hell.
Hmm.
I make
Hmm.
my coffee. I butter my toast. I grab the dog, right? Because in my ideal life, I have a dog. We know this. The dog is coming someday, right,
Oh
listeners?
yeah.
And I go outside to my front porch, which is covered, by the way, so that I can sit out there in all weather. And I just sit there under a cozy blanket and I drink my coffee and stare out into the abyss. Okay, so
Mm.
it's little things like this, and then I
Yeah.
come back in and I do this, and then I do this, and I work with clients and blah blah blah. And it's like my whole day is just very intentional. So it's not that it's totally different than what I'm doing now. It's just that I'm more present,
Yeah.
and
Mindfulness.
I'm more mindful about everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so that was really revealing to me, actually. And so I'm just like, you know what? My ideal day isn't so far off. If I bring a little bit more of that intentionality into my everyday,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's going to make me feel really content.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Even if you're doing, if you feel far apart from your ideal world, if you can kind
Yes.
of like narrow down, but like, what is that? what is that essence? Like, what is the thing that's like the feeling or the emotion that's missing?
Yeah.
If you can try to like foster more of that feeling in, I feel like
Yeah, that's
a
that all
lot
that
better.
self-awareness, right? I think you were also mentioning too, like a previous reading that you had done, and you talked about the message was coming through with like everything you do, do it with intention.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I've tried this, like, I've tried it for a day where one day I was like, I wake up, I'm like, I'm paying, it's just being aware of everything you're doing rather than being on autopilot, right? So
Yes.
it's like, I pick
Absolutely.
up I always use cold cream cleanser. I'm like old fashioned like that. So I pick up the little jar and I like put my hand in it and then I'm like intentionally washing my face.
Yeah.
Then I'm putting, okay, the warm water and like intentionally feeling the warm water
Yes.
as I'm washing
Yeah.
my face and like things like that. It doesn't take any more time.
No. You're
It's just all
just
of a sudden I'm aware of what I'm doing. And that's
yeah.
for some reason, when I do those things, it makes me feel like I have more time in the day,
Yeah.
even though the time is the same.
You're not like in this go 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 state, right? Where
You're
you
present with your
feel
soul. Yeah.
yes, you don't have that time, but you do. It's just we feel rushed.
Did I ever share the story that has to do with this? I think it was 2021, maybe, so 2 years ago now, like January. This is the month 5-year anniversary of my dad's passing,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
in January,
Yeah.
and I think it was 2021. I went to like a nearby trail and I was walking. It was the winter again, like January, and I stopped and kind of intentionally decided to have a moment of silence
Mm,
in honor of my dad. And as I was doing this, it was becoming like, what was dropping into my awareness is, do you see how when you're intentional, that you set the intention you're going to do a moment of silence, therefore you're noticing every second tick by, the
yeah.
minute actually feels kind of long, where you're like, is it over yet? Like, wow, it's a minute. Like every second is like
Mm-hmm.
you're aware of. But a minute, if you weren't doing that, is like nothing. An hour goes by and you're like, where the heck
Yes.
did an hour
Where
go?
did the time go?
The timing didn't change.
Yeah.
Your experience of it did.
Yes.
And that was
Yes.
like a moment for me,
Yeah.
because it was like,
That's huge.
whoa,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Because what came out of it was like, you do have enough time in your life. We all feel like, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. We're not running out of time. We're just not present in the time. And if you're present in the time, if you live intentionally like that, and I'm not saying like we all have to do that all the time, because I know
No.
that doesn't come naturally to us.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
try to like consciously bring that in, at least for a little bit of every day, I think what happens, I hope what happens is that by the end of our life, it does feel like it was long enough. It,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it doesn't feel,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that as we're talking, because I feel like that is spiritual high. Hygge. Oh my God,
Huga.
what did I say? Hygge.
Ha ha.
It's not Hygge, it's Hygge. It looks like Hygge,
It's
but that's
Huga.
that's an example of it.
Yeah. It is. I love that
Yeah,
too. Like that time, the time didn't change.
it didn't
Your
change.
perception, your awareness of it did.
But we all know what that feels like. If you're ever
Yeah.
doing a moment of silence, you're like, oh my God, this is the longest minute ever.
Yeah. Or if you're just like at work and you're like, oh my gosh,
5 more minutes. Oh my
5 minutes,
God.
and that time it takes so
Every
long to
second
get to
matters.
that next minute. But
It's the
yeah,
same concept as like when you're I don't know, but when you're, for me, when we're driving somewhere, it's like the time speeds, but on the, I don't know, yeah, and then on the way home, it seems longer to me. Maybe it's
yeah,
the other way around. I don't know, but like there's something about that too, and I think it's
yeah.
just because you're,
It's like well, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I guess it depends how you look at it. Maybe
yes,
it's like about if you're excited about where you're going, it seems to go by fast. And then
yes,
it's like, oh, okay, we're coming back, to work or whatever, coming back to our real lives. Then it feels like it takes longer. Or again, maybe it feels like it takes too fast. It's too fast, right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
you're
your perception.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Um,
time.
so that's a little bit about Huga. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say in here. So this is from thespiritualist.org.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Huga.
so I'm going to read it. Hygge is the Danish concept most closely related in English to a feeling of being cozy or special. We talked about that. Um, so imagine enjoying the comfort of a fire in a log cabin on your own, or sharing a hearty meal at home with friends, walking through the woods with children or grandchildren. These are all Hygge-inducing moments.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of reminding me even of like the importance of visualization. Of maybe we're alone, or we don't have those people in our life, but we can kind of think about them and reflect,
Yeah.
bring that feeling
That feeling
inside.
back. And yeah.
That's the feeling I know we talked when we talked about Christmas and kind of the archetype of Santa and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. It was about the feeling that it invokes
What it
of
represents
goodwill
as a
and
whole.
joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the energy of Christmas. So I think it's about reframing the energy of the winter and like making it
Yeah.
something special again.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
like that, because winter is very symbolic of pause,
Yes.
right? And hibernation, but it's important that we have that moment of rest and that moment of pause, because how are we ever going to like really grow or progress in a way that we want to if we don't allow for that time for
That's
pause
right.
and inner self-reflection,
That's right.
right? It can be scary because it's like, oh, I'm alone with my thoughts, or there's pause here, or I'm going within, and it's maybe it's not necessarily something we're ready for or really wanting to do, but I think it's necessary. It's
Yeah,
necessary part of the growth. Yeah.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this page, thespiritualist.org, which is actually a really cool website. I'm gonna check out the other links here. Um, as people who share, I'm reading directly here. As people who share a spiritual belief, it strikes me that the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment and the pursuit of Hygge are closely related.
Mm.
In both, we seek comfort, contentment, and things that make our souls feel good, which is what we just spoke about. In today's busy modern life, it can be difficult to make time to build our spiritual understanding and strengthen our inner spirit. But this Danish concept shows us that the simple things in life are just important.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It shows us that the path to feeling better is open to everyone, costs very little, and is not necessarily dependent on anyone other than the individual's own capacity to look within,
Mm-hmm.
which is the whole theme of 2023, guys. So I feel like
Yeah.
this is very aligned. We're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you were speaking, I don't know if you noticed, you might, if you're watching the replay or somebody else is, I was reading something and my eyes went like that for a moment.
Yeah.
The reason it did is because I think I've shared that this fox is my totem
Yes.
animal.
Yes.
Okay. Showing up constantly in my life. Okay. So this is why I did this, because I hadn't read this part of the article before, but it says to enjoy spiritual Hygge, perhaps first we should step back and observe our surroundings. We can take a lead from nature, which can be found all around us. From the fox in the street to the sparrow in the garden, they are closer to the survival instinct than we are with our complex civilizations. Imagine the sense of simple satisfaction a squirrel feels when it digs up a nut, knowing that it has secured a food source, or that urban
Mm.
cat that jumps a fence before the barking dog reaches us. Most of us are
Yeah.
incredibly lucky that we don't have these fundamental survival concerns. So it's just really asking us to just pause and take a moment and observe
Yeah.
observe what we do have.
Yeah. Rather than the lack, look to what you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Because most of us probably have a blanket
Or
and a
things to
light
be
source.
thankful for. Yeah.
Yeah, and something to eat, even
Yeah.
if it's basic, something to warm our belly. I think it's all of those things, just getting back to basics and feeling a sense of gratitude about what you
Yeah.
have, rather
Yeah.
than being on a. I think we're trying to
Continuous path of lack.
reframe January. Like we talked a little bit last month when we talked about January, like it being. Oh, bless you! You've
I'm
been
so
releasing
sorry.
all of the things today.
I just released everything.
Everything is coming out.
Woo! That was a
Um,
sneeze and a
that was
half.
a
If you
bigger
guys were
one.
watching.
You didn't even do that. Like, do you ever like? Did you feel it coming on, or did it just come out of
Yeah, I
nowhere?
know. Did you see? I was like,
Yeah,
and then it just
yeah. We're trying to reframe January. We're just trying to bring the magic
even our
in,
sneeze.
even our sneezes. Hopefully, no winter colds coming. So yeah, I just wanted to ask, like, what is like we've already talked about fairy lights. Okay, if you don't know what fairy lights are, it's just another word for like stringing some Christmas lights up in your house all year round. Is there something like what do you do to make yourself cozy through the winter months?
Oh, blankets.
Yeah,
I love just like I am that person that I would rather be cold and get
me
warm
too. Me too.
than be
Yeah,
too hot. Yeah.
layers.
Layers. I'm
Yeah,
all about the layers. Um Blankets. I love like, just like cuddling up with a blanket, a cup of tea or hot chocolate. Been having a lot of hot chocolate
hmm
recently. And like watching a movie or reading a book. That is like my definition of
like that's the
cozy.
plan. Like that's my plan for today. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I'm actually it's great how this weekend worked out because was feeling so overwhelmed and just so busy, and all of a sudden it was like things just changed. I was like, oh, we have time. We have time to just kind of breathe. So that's really nice. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Good reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
And me
you,
too.
Amy?
I'm like that too. I'm very like comfy, cozy person.
Yeah.
That's my, yeah, like
Slippers,
all year round.
PJs.
Yeah. Like, and it reminds me of like, previous years where somebody was like, what's on your Christmas list? And like, it's always kind of laughable because it'd be like something to read, some cozy socks. I'll never turn down a blanket. My husband is like, oh my God, stop buying blankets. I
Yeah.
have so many. I just can't stop and I will not be stopped.
Nope.
Candles, like
Candles, yeah.
anything that's cozy,
Hmm.
I'm all on. I'm about it. Something for the bath. Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've just really learned to embrace it and give myself permission. And we talked a little bit about at the end of the last episode about, about the energy of January, like wanting us to slow down, but then like societally, like we still have responsibilities. People still
Stuff.
have jobs. Things are still happening. Kids
Yeah.
still need to be fed.
Yeah.
Like things need to happen. We can't just hibernate. But about like doing those things, yes, but like being mindful, being in the moment will certainly help. I would think
Hmm.
does for
Hmm.
me. Um, but we even talked about like, okay, but what if we just gave ourselves a break from maybe like all these huge resolutions, and instead we took some sort of action where we just made a plan to be more cozy. So one of the things that came up was like, what if every Friday night you just planned a movie night, right? And you took action because you decided what movie every week,
Yeah.
and you decided what's going to be on the menu, right? And
Yeah.
then you intentionally go to the grocery store. And the thing I love about, I don't necessarily love cooking, but I have it like a few times this year treated ourselves to HelloFresh, which is,
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
most people would be familiar, like a grocery service
Not
where
sponsored,
they
but we will not
not
say no to the
sponsored, but
sponsorship.
we will not say no to free groceries. With recipes included, right? Because that's the thing that gets me the most is I don't mind cooking.
Yeah.
I sometimes struggle with the executive functioning with, okay, this is what I'm gonna make, and then I have to go to the grocery store and buy it all, and then it's just too much
Yeah.
sometimes,
So
right?
yes, yes. Yeah,
I just don't
exactly.
enjoy that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So HelloFresh was nice because it's like I learned that it's not that I don't like cooking, I just don't like the preparation part of it, right? So it was, but I also felt very
Yeah.
intentional because I was like, okay, and then I'm gonna zest the limes and I'm gonna add it, and it just felt like I don't know,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
felt
yeah.
fun,
Yeah, that's
and I
good.
enjoyed it. Yeah, and I was thinking maybe it's like something where if you plan your movie night and you're like, this is what's gonna be for supper that night, and you just went out and you just bought those ingredients, you like hand picked them,
Yes.
and you come home with your little like a reusable shopping bag or something about
Whatever.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
paper bags.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who got AF paper
Yes.
bag? You
Paper
think?
bags. Yeah.
I love a paper bag.
Yeah, I do.
It
Yeah.
reminded me of
Like
these
when
are
you have those old school. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um yeah, so yeah, I'm very similar. It's just all the cozy things, making a plan to be more cozy and intentional,
Yeah, I agree.
and all the hot beverages.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, like part of my cozying now as is hu- uh huga
Yep. Who
uh
got?
is putting whipped cream on my
Oh, I'm
hot
going all
chocolate.
out now. Now you just need some chocolate sprinkles.
I go all out. Alex laughs at me now too because I bought ice cream, and because the other night he was so sweet because he's been so busy with work. He's been doing like 14 hours straight, like 14 sorry,
Oh.
14 days straight, like just going going going. So I've been cooking a lot, and he was like, I felt bad, so I went out and I got you Tom's Dairy Freeze with your favorite chocolate,
Ooh.
like hot fudge, and I was like, Oh yeah, this is it. This is it.
This
This
is
is
my
it.
night. I'm done. This is my
Yes.
night made.
This
Yeah.
is my love language.
Yeah.
And so now I have to use up that hot fudge. So I'll put some hot fudge and then I crush up some Oreo bits. Then I put a
Oh,
little.
nice.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
But I think that's a perfect example of like making an event out of a simple thing. And all of a sudden it's like a big
Yeah.
thing. It's like, oh, and you just like, I don't know, you make a whole night of
Yeah,
it.
it's not
Like,
like I'm doing it every night, right? But like it's
no.
something that I look forward to of like, oh, I have dessert tonight. This is what I'm gonna do. And I just
Yeah. No, no, I
yeah,
love it. I love it. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's important. I love it. So yeah, I'm very similar to you. And I'm noticing my kids are very similar too. Um, every night is like, can they watch a movie? And like we all snuggle, like
Oh
we don't have a TV in our living room. It was a decision we made a few years
yeah.
ago. So but we do have a TV in our bedroom. So that's normally where if I'm watching TV, I'm there, which is the ultimate hookah because I'm in bed, right?
Yes, yes.
And we have a Christmas tree. So again, we're recording this before it's airing. So it is, yeah, it's not even Christmas yet. So we're in the past, the ghost of Christmas
Christmas
past.
past. Ooh.
We have a Christmas tree in our bedroom. And so it's
I
like,
know it looks so
that was the
cute
like,
and
yeah,
cozy. Yeah.
it's yes. Well, a few people messaged me on Instagram like after I posted like the night that we decorated it, and they're like, "I am so getting a Christmas tree for my bedroom." I'm like, honestly, I started doing that Christmas of 2020 because we were like, we need more,
We need more
nice
like
comfort, we need more of this,
yes, yes.
and I will never not have one in my bedroom again
Yeah.
because it is so cozy at night.
Yeah.
And all the lights are off, and you're
I
like
like
hunkered
it.
down watching a movie, and like it's so cozy. So
I love it.
I'll always do it moving forward.
Yeah.
Um,
That's so fun.
yeah.
Yeah, Alex and I have a projector and it's in our bedroom.
Oh, I love it.
And nothing, honestly, listen, guys, Amy, there's one on Amazon. I think we got this for $100. Okay.
Mhm.
It works great. We've had
But
it
you're
for over a
making
year
an
now.
event out of something. You're doing
Yeah.
something. It's something you're making something special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like watching old movies on the projector, and it's
I love
great.
that. That's
Yeah.
very
Being
Huga.
in bed.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
best.
I
Yeah.
know. I think about like the old, like when we think about like certain Christmas, because Christmas is on our brain at the time that we're recording. But just like I feel like it probably was very Huga. I know that there was a lot of worries and stresses back then that we don't necessarily have now, but I'm just thinking about the simplicity of things of like somebody, like when somebody puts a little mixture on their stove of like cranberries and oranges, and I just think about that
And you
stuff, or like when,
smell that.
yeah, the
Yeah.
smell
Yeah.
and the intentionality. It's very simple, right? It's not a
Yes.
big thing to do, but it just creates some sort of memory, and it brings like this magic into the air, like when people would string like popcorn and
Yeah.
stuff. And
Yes.
it takes so long to do that, but it's a memory, and it's like
Yeah.
it's an activity.
An
Like
activity to
you're
do.
making. I think that's something that I try to tell my kids, like it's okay to be bored. Like I always say, I'm not here to entertain you, right? Like mean mom voice, but I mean it. Like I'm not
Get
here to
creative.
do something,
Yeah.
right? Like figure
You
it
have a
out.
whole
Like,
backyard.
right? Or I'm just like, I know like my generation's kind of strange because it's like I'm a zennial, so I'm like not an X and I'm not a millennial.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle. Where I did grow up kind of like the old fashioned way of like no internet and just kind of roaming the roads till the lights went, the street lights went off. And no cell phones, no way. If I didn't come home, my parents didn't know where the heck I was, right? Like living that way, but then also being kind of in my late teens when the internet exploded and
Internet.
all that
Yeah.
stuff. I've kind
Yeah.
of experienced both, but I always say like my parents didn't like to entertain me. I didn't have video games. I wanted to figure something out. I just did it. Like I would spend hours just figuring it out.
Oh yeah.
I wrote stories. I drew
Yeah.
pictures. I listened to music. I made
Yeah.
dance routines.
Yeah.
I listened to the
Oh,
radio,
big on
right?
dance
I
routines.
know. I listened to the radio and I'd like with my my tape deck, and I'd like, okay, if the song's about to come on, right? And
Yeah.
then the song would come like, but that all to me now is magical when I think about it. And I think it's just because we were intentional about what we were actually in the moment. There was nothing to distract us.
Yeah. No. No.
Like we were kids,
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
of all. We didn't
Exactly.
have responsibilities. The same. Most
Yeah.
of us did.
No. No.
Yeah, but I
But
think
yeah,
there's something about that too, about going back to basics and simple
I think
times.
so too. Well, I told Alex like I'm if we're lucky enough to be able to be homeowners one day, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That I want a big backyard for the kids to be able to play
dog.
and the dog.
Ted won't
Mhm.
like that very much, but he'll have to get used to it.
He'll be fine. Listen, we babysat a dog, and honestly, he was okay.
Good.
Yeah, he was just a little scared, but it's
Yeah.
he was fine.
Yeah.
He'd get used
Yeah.
to it.
So then you can take that projector outside. We did that one summer,
Oh
My
yeah.
my husband, like through his work, he had borrowed once we don't have a projector, but he borrowed the projector and he borrowed the big huge white screen
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
set it up in our backyard. We had all the chairs out. We
See,
had like
that's so
popcorn.
fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we did a. Anyways, this is so off topic. We did a movie night outside in the backyard. We did
Yeah.
it a few times. We did it once. We watched Interstellar, and that was when that was when the meteor shower was happening. So we would watch this like cool space movie, and we were seeing like this, you know.
That's
And then another one we did, we had my sister-in-law, or my future sister-in-law, and her my brother-in-law, her partner, and we watched a movie in the backyard. And it was great. This one on Halloween, and I don't know if you remember that one year Halloween, that moon was so friggin' bright. Anyways, it lit up our whole backyard like for
it was like
a
that light.
good 2 minutes. Yeah, it was like we had the light in the backyard. I was like, wow, I can see everybody so clearly. But it was so fun. Anyways.
Yeah. But you know what? It's I think what we're getting at is like the the similarities between this kuga cozy, the art of cozy living, um and spirituality is I think it's intentionality,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's about something that comes in all the time is creating the magic out of the mundane, right? Or in the
Mm-hmm.
mundane, or with amongst, like we
Yeah.
all kind of feel like we're just like, oh, it's just another
Yeah.
day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like we do have the ability to intentionally go, you know what, I'm going to make this special in some way, and it doesn't have to cost a dime.
No.
It
No.
doesn't. It doesn't
No.
have to take extra time either. It can
No.
literally be like, you know what, rather than like do this on the couch tonight, why don't we sit outside? Right? Like
Yeah.
it's something as simple as that.
Yeah.
I think it's just something about the intention of like actively deciding to make something special.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, it's say like it's Saturday night and I've got my hot chocolate, but I'm gonna make it like it's an event. Like
Yeah.
me with this hot chocolate and this movie, I'm not doing anything special, but it is special.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You're
about like,
living your life.
yeah,
And that's what it's we're here to live. We're here to live and experience life and learn and grow. Right? Life's too short.
life is
Live it
also
up.
about enjoyment though. It's something that I'm learning. It's about enjoying yourself. I don't know. I know we talked about like astrology before, and this is kind of off topic, but not really, because my son, so like I'm a Capricorn sun, as are you, but
Mm-hmm.
my son is in the fifth house. The fifth house, an astrologer once told me that because of that, it likely signifies that the life before might have been difficult,
Mm,
and that in this life
yeah.
I get to enjoy it, and I'm meant to have fun, and I'm meant to treat myself, and I'm meant to do the thing, and I'm meant to just enjoy it. Like the
Yeah.
fifth house is the house of Leo, right? So it's okay. Like the person was like, it's okay to like enjoy
Be
yourself
selfish.
in this
Yeah.
lifetime.
Yeah.
You would deserve it, and we all do,
Yes.
right? But I just found it interesting to like, oh,
To
like
have
literally
that
astrology.
perspective.
It's also
Yes.
telling me like I'm meant to
You're meant to be here and enjoy it.
and
Yeah.
enjoy it. Yeah, like it's okay. So yeah, thanks for joining us today. I
Yes,
hope
that was a
that
really great
this
note to end on.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hope that this energy, I think it's important to kind of foster this in January, and January can be hard and cold
Yeah.
and dark and all
Yes.
those things, depending on where you're listening.
Yeah. We hope it
Um,
inspires
I
you.
hope it inspires you.
Yeah.
Today, we just encourage you, make do one thing intentionally and see how it feels.
Yes.
Does it
Yes.
feel different than when you brush your teeth tonight intentionally? Does it feel different than you did this
Mm-hmm.
morning?
Mm-hmm.
I
Or
bet
when
it,
you really take time to eat
yeah.
and enjoy the
You're not
meal.
shoveling it in and you're like chewing,
Chewing,
enjoying
slowing
the
down.
flavor.
Yeah.
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 Or cooking dinner, which we got to do anyways. And I don't know about you, but I don't like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like
like I
cooking.
don't like it, but again, it's because of the preparation. It's not
Yeah,
so
yes,
much
yes.
about putting the ingredients together. Um, so but that food tastes better to me though. Why
Yeah.
does that meal taste better?
Mm-hmm.
Because I intentionally created it. That's why I love soups. That's why I like
Mm.
making soup, because I always feel like a
like
little kitchen
mixing
witch.
things.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like a little kitchen witch, and I'm in my mind where I'm like, this is my like cauldron. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I make it a moment.
That's good.
I make
That's
it a
something,
moment.
yeah, to really, yeah, yeah, keep in our
It's a
back pockets.
simple it's a simple thing to do, but it makes a whole lot of difference. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
thanks
Ah,
for joining us.
thank you, Amy.
Have a good
Thank you.
day.
Have a hookah day.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.